Hey everyone, Kareem Rae here. Today we have Soheil Var, who's a professional soccer player in Dubai, playing for GULF United F.C. Soheil, how's it going?
It's going good, Kareem. Happy to be on the One Soccer Nation podcast. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time. It's very exciting, as mentioned before. I've been watching your journey for a year or two now, of your journey to pro. So it's very exciting to see that you've accomplished it. And let's dive into it and share with the people what they really want to know is how did you do it?
Yes, what a journey. When did you tune in? I'm curious. When was the first video?
I think it was 2020. But for our viewers, let's just start with who you are, where you come from, and then dive
Yeah.
into the journey.
Okay, so Soheil Var, 24. I was born in Vienna, Austria, but then I moved to Canada, Ottawa, the capital city, and I grew up there for most of my life. Played university soccer, and then got cut, and then I had a couple of different trials in Austria and Germany. I played in Spain, now finally in Dubai. But it's been a super long journey. So to recap your question, so you tuned in 2020. That's kind of when I started doing the TikTok, and I shared like all the behind the scenes of trying to achieve this big journey. But the journey started way back. Like it started 8 years ago at the start of high school. I had this goal of becoming a pro football player. And so I went for it in Ottawa, Canada, not really having a network, not having any connections, and not having played in a youth academy. And then from that moment on, it's just been a massive roller coaster, like a lot of ups and downs to get to this point now. But that's just to recap kind of the journey, and then we can get into all the moments that have happened along the way.
Absolutely. And I appreciate what you do. All that experience and content that you've been sharing behind the scenes has been very valuable and helpful to the next generation. What inspired you to do that and just share the behind the scenes of going pro?
So I watched Matt Sheldon become elite. Like in high school, I would watch a lot of football channels, but then I came across his, and he was showcasing the journey of him out in Germany trying to make it happen. And then he went out and had his trial in USA and eventually signed. And that was definitely an inspiration. I think that linked in with my own passion to create content. I kind of thought, look, if I'm going for this, if I'm going all in, let me share the behind the scenes, let me share the moments that people don't typically share, just so I can educate the next generation on what it really looks like trying to make this dream happen. Because I think when we're young, we all have an expectation of what it's going to be like and what the process is going to look like. But when you're actually going through it and you're hit with different setbacks and you're going through obstacles and challenges, it's so much different. And 99% of players, they only post their highlights. They only post when things go the right way. So I wanted to also post when things went bad and also kind of share why it went bad and how I'm going to react. So the goal was just to inspire the next gen, but then also to educate them and give them the tools and resources so they can move quicker, better, and faster along their own journeys.
Absolutely. I really respect that, just to how organic and real that is to the viewers to not only see the highlights, but the rawness, as you mentioned. You mentioned Canada. I come from Canada too. Let's talk a little bit about how hard it is to make it over there and why you started to travel outside of the country to go pro.
Yeah, so Canada, obviously you have the MLS, so you have Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, where you have three clubs in the MLS, and then you have the Canadian Premier League, which is fairly new, but now you have 8 teams. I heard Vancouver is also opening a club, which is really cool. But essentially, you have this massive country. You have so many talented players, but there's only a select few clubs. So the opportunity is really difficult in Canada, and also the pathway from playing on an amateur youth club or being in a youth academy to making the first team is really difficult. So that's the thing with Canada is like I would always the advice I always give to people is just first focus on your local city, like try and be on a local team, become one of the better players on that team, and try and play on the best possible local team you can, and then look to work your way up to that professional club in your city, ideally, if there is one. If there's not, that's when you kind of have to go and move elsewhere. But yeah, opportunity is difficult, and then also you need to have connections. You need to have a good network to be able to get your way in, on top of the skill that you need to be able to play at that level.
Yeah, absolutely. We relate on so many different things and so many different levels. You know how much work you have to put in into networking, content creation, on the field things, off the field things. There's not a lot of us out there, but you know, when traveling, when making that decision to travel and do everything that you were doing, studying, content, playing on the field, recovering off the field, what in your mind happened to say, I'm going to do this, let's go, I'm going to go to a place that I've never been before, and learn the language, learn how to network with the people, and do all these different things that you were doing.
So I was looking to make the push in Ottawa, Canada, which is where I grew up. I remember I had so many different trials with like amateur clubs just to try and play at the highest youth level possible. I got cut many times. I tried out for the Ottawa Fury, which now isn't a club anymore, but used to be a professional club in Ottawa. And I got cut from the academy like 2 times. And then I made a push to play at the highest university level, which was Carleton Ravens, still is. And I made the final spot on that roster. Like I wasn't on the radar at all as a youth player. I emailed the coaching staff multiple times. I got my way into training. They gave me one training session. I went out to the training. I impressed. They kept inviting me out. I made it all the way to preseason, and they signed me on as that last player on the team. But then after season one, long story short, I got cut. So for me, I didn't have anything really going on locally anymore because Atletico Ottawa, the CPL team, wasn't a thing back then. So for me, it was like, okay, let's try and go elsewhere to make it happen. And that's when I decided to travel to Austria to give it a shot. And look, if you have a commitment, for me, I had the dream of playing pro football. If you're truly committed to the dream, you're going to have to go 100% in. And if you're not able to make it in your city, then you have to try elsewhere. So for me, Austria was that first step of like, I'm going to go. It's going to be incredibly challenging. Foreign environment, language barrier, new people, high pressure environment. I'm going to be all alone, but I'm ready for the challenge. And that's kind of the mindset I went in with. And it came with a lot of struggles, a lot of challenges, but I'm really glad I had that experience. It's part of what got me here today.
Right. What what requirements would you share with the viewers in order to do what you did, to travel outside the country? What do you need? You need money. You need network. You need maybe you don't have the network. You need to build the network. What are some things that we could share with the viewers to prepare them that have the true burning desire, as you and I both have, to travel outside of Canada to make our dreams a reality?
So first thing I would say is make sure you have the self-awareness that you're at a decent skill level where if you go overseas and you want to get yourself into an amateur, a semi-pro, or a pro environment, you're able to compete and you actually have a good shot of making it happen. Uh, how can you do that? Journaling, reflecting, playing with some of the better players in your city to see how you compare to them. If you're one of the better players in your city and you still weren't able to climb up in your local city, then and I would say it's worth a shot to go overseas. But first, kind of have that mental awareness because you don't want to make the trip out and then you're so far off. And maybe it would have been better to train and play for an extra year and then go make that trip the next year. So that awareness is key. Then I would say do your research. So you mentioned things about visa issues in the past. That's really important if you want to go and play internationally. Research the city, research the clubs. What I did is I went every single country I was looking to play in. I would do the research in that country. I would find every single league system, and then I would find all the clubs in those leagues. And I would research into all the different clubs and try and figure out, okay, how many players do they currently have? What's their financial situation? I would do that research to try and make sure I'm going to the best possible environment. Because a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to fly out and play football. It's going to be super amazing, exciting. But a lot of these clubs, they're not in a city, they're in like a rural environment. And it's actually really, really difficult for a foreigner to go there and adapt and be able to play and have a decent life. So that's another thing. Then, obviously, you talked about the money side of things. So you need to have your finances in check to be able to cover a flight, to be able to cover accommodation, food, at least for the duration of your trial period before you get signed. And again, this all depends again what level are you going to? Because some clubs in the past have covered my expenses for me, but other clubs haven't. So do your research, try and connect with the club, with the coach, with the coaching staff, see what they can offer. And yeah, that other point you touched on 100%, like you need to have a network. So every day is an opportunity for you as a player to grow your network. All you need is a phone, right? You can go send out emails, send out messages on the WhatsApp, DM people, grow your football network because the more connections you have, the better chance you have of getting an opportunity. So those are a couple things that I would say players should think about when they're looking to make the move overseas.
Great points. I want to run some things by you that I've come across too. It's, you mentioned looking into the clubs, as well as I think it's important to know how many foreign spots these teams are signing is important to know. Then you know what percentage that you are, the success percentage that you could have making the team. The visa you mentioned, what type of visa? Let's just get straight to it. You need a work visa if you want to get paid and stay in that country. These are things that we both, had to learn along the journey. Do you think you'll ever create something where it's like you're already creating content? Do you think you'll create a program where it's like this is everything that you need? You need a work visa. You need to know how many foreign spots they need. You need to know if you could speak the language or learn the language. Do you think you'll ever create something like that, or something
I
along
just
those lines?
I just launched a football community where the goal is to bring football players from around the world into one space. And in that space, there's a lot of different resources and tools where I share information about what the recipe is essentially to be able to make it to that professional level. So part of that is like knowing that you have to have your visa sorted, your documents sorted, what that looks like, how
Mm,
you can go about that. So yeah, I have like a football community, which I wanted to make sure it's also open to everybody. So we have like a plus version, which is a paid community, but then there's also a free community for everybody to join in. And the goal is just to bring like-minded football players together and have them share their experience and their knowledge.
amazing. I'm definitely a subscriber to the email. I wasn't able to jump on that call Sunday. Can we plug in for the viewers of how they could get connected to you, to connected to your platform, and also drop the number of how many people you have in the community so far?
Yeah, for sure. So best place is if you go to my Instagram bio, there's a link where you can find an entryway into both communities. So the paid one is a really tight-knit community that we have going on, but the free one we currently have over 500 people who kind of signed in the last week, which is really cool because you have like 500 people from all around the world, and you never know what a connection could possibly lead to.
Mhm.
So we have a group chat where like we kind of keep in touch with each other. And it's cool just to be able to get to know players from around the world. Because we were talking earlier about, like, let's say you travel to a different country, it's so helpful to have somebody who you already know before you're in that country.
Right. Yeah, very valuable. Let's talk numbers, social media. Before I want to go a quick overview of how many countries you've been to before Dubai. But numbers, how many Instagram followers, TikTok followers, YouTube subscribers? Let's drop the numbers because you got some big ones.
So I think Instagram's at around 100K, TikTok's at 600K, and YouTube is at 30K.
So let's plug it in. Is it all Soheil.var, or what do the viewers have to?
Yeah, so at Soheil.var, Soheil.var on Instagram, TikTok, and then on YouTube it's just Soheil Var. You can find the channel.
Nice. Guys, I've been a subscriber since 2020. Great content, high quality content, very valuable. So guys, go check it out. With saying that, let's go through a quick overview of how many countries you've been to before landing that pro contract in Dubai.
So Canada, obviously, USA, Portugal, Spain, Austria, Germany, and now Dubai, UAE.
So yeah, I think if I remember correctly, you've been to Dubai 2 times, right? Like, you went and then you left and
Yeah,
you came back, and then that's the second time when you went, you signed. So
yeah.
when you went, back a second time, did you know that you were going to sign, or was it like you're going back and you're working towards signing again, like you're looking for a club and all that stuff again?
So what happened was earlier this year, it's so crazy. We're still in 2022. Like if you go on the TikTok, you'll see there was a part where I was in Canada during lockdown, and then a terrible situation happened. It was very difficult, but finally things got a little bit better, and I made the move out to Germany to try and trial with a couple of clubs. I found out that I could only sign during the transfer window, so I gave myself the risk to go out to Dubai and try over there. And I was on trial with the club. I performed well, and essentially they invited me back out for next season. But it wasn't super clear what the invite would be. I then found out it would be a closed trial invite.
Wow.
So basically, they have like open tryouts over the summer where like hundreds of people flow in, and then the closed tryouts is like a week before preseason officially starts. And this is players that they already know, players who are already playing at a high level. And so I came in with only knowing that, okay, I'm going to be there for that week. They're not taking many players onto the following week. If I make it, I make it. If not, then it's goodbye.
Hmm. But you made it. How did it feel? You know, we're kind of skipping through it here a bit, but how did it feel to finally like put pen to paper and make it official?
It felt so fulfilling. It felt really, really fulfilling, especially when you've had such a big goal for such a long time. And especially when you've gone through so many different setbacks and you've failed so many times, but every time you got knocked down, you got back up and you kept going and you kept trying. When you've had so many of those moments and finally you achieve your goal, it's a really, really fulfilling moment. It was also super cool. Our manager is Stephen Taylor. He's a Newcastle United legend, played in the Premier League. So to be able to do the signing with him was super cool, but definitely felt super fulfilling.
Yeah, that's huge. Man, when I seen it, I sent you a DM like, "Congratulations, you finally did it, bro." Like, it's so cool to see someone achieve their dreams, especially when you're following their journey for 2 years now. Um, let's talk about on the field. How different is it? When people hear Dubai, when I hear Dubai, it's like, but let's talk about soccer or football. How is it
Yeah.
quality on the field?
So the quality so far has been great. Like I'm really happy with it, especially our team. Some of the players they've decided to bring in. We got guys like Devonte Redmond. We got Max, our goalkeeper. So these guys, they basically played with Manchester United reserves very, very recently. And I remember I was carpooling with Max, our goalkeeper, the other day, and I'm like, "Yo, who are the best players you've played with?" And he got called up to a first team training, and he was training with players like Rooney on the field, and he was also training with Ibrahimovic because he's been at United for a couple of different years, so he's had his moments of being able to train with these players. And now me being on the field with these guys who've been at the highest level, it's super cool to know that I'm at that level, I'm competing, and also it brings so much value to the team to have these experienced guys on the team. So we have a couple top players like that. The rest of the team, great players. We're doing great in the league right now, competing for currently in second place, I believe. So we're really competing for promotion. That's the big goal this year.
Yeah, that'd be huge. And then playing D1 in Dubai.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so usually players, they make it up the ladder, sign pro, and blow up. But in your case, it's reversed. It's work my ass off, do everything myself, promote myself, train, make connections. It's a lot of hard work, but it makes you very, very valuable in the marketplace. Now you signed, you made it official, you're living your dream. You know, my point with what I'm saying now is you had to work really hard to achieve what you have. Basically, you do have fame on social media, and you've achieved your goal on the pitch. Um, so it's not like there's this huge shock of you signing pro, and now it's like all this fame and success is coming to you. It's like you've been gradually building up to this, so you're used to it and you're built to it. I'm going to ask this question, but I would assume nothing has changed that much because you've been growing in it. But has anything significantly, oh my gosh, I could say the word significantly changed with
Yeah.
signing pro?
The biggest thing has been that feeling of fulfillment, just internally knowing that I've been going at this for so long and I've been able to achieve that. And also, what adds to it is knowing that so many people have been tuning into the journey and coming to the journey for inspiration and knowledge. And now, having achieved this milestone, it gives them inspiration and motivation to keep going. So, I would say that has been the main change. Externally, not much has changed. I'm a very humble guy, and
Nice.
yeah, I'm the same that I was a couple months ago, but at the same time, always growing and evolving. But I would say the main thing is just in here. The main change is the fulfillment.
That's pretty deep. I love that you said that internal because internal is so powerful. It's what creates our reality, and it's so cool to hear you say that because I don't think a lot of players realize their power and then until it's unlocked from signing. But you gotta, it's hard basically, and for you to say that is very cool. And I'd love to dive deeper, but let's keep it pushing. Um, with saying that, what are 3 tips that you'd share with the viewers that want to go pro?
3 tips. Okay, I have one really big tip that is kind of an umbrella, and then it probably goes into like 10, 20, 30 different tips. So how about I share this one? And I'm really hoping people execute on it. Okay, so what the biggest thing I'll tell anybody is if you want to go pro, what you have to do is every single day, you have to learn as much as possible about what it takes to go pro and then take action on what you learned. So that's kind of like the lesson. And then obviously under that umbrella, it falls into so many different categories. But I'll repeat that again, is like every single day you want to learn as much as possible what it actually takes to go pro and then take action on what you learn. So examples of this for me it was tuning into Matt Sheldon's videos. He was showcasing the process of what it took to make that pro level. So I would watch those videos, I would get some valuable information, and then I would look to execute on that information. So, for example, training every single day, doing deliberate training where you can improve certain skills, making sure you grow your football network, growing your connections, having a football CV, having a highlight video. So, these are all things that I was able to learn and execute on. So I would say that's like the big one. And then now I'll quickly narrow it down into 3 different tips. Tip number one, I'll try and come up with unique things. Okay. Tip number
Wait,
one,
wait,
you have to,
sorry,
can you
so
hear me?
yeah, I could hear you. I don't want to forget this. I just want to mention this real quick. You
Yeah.
mentioned Matt Sheldon. He's like the leader. Oh, sorry. I apologize for that time. I don't pay for Zoom. Well,
Okay.
mentioned Matt Sheldon. He's a leader in the U.S. as an individual of content creation and sharing valuable information with the next gen. He's a part of the 1% in my group in my books. You're a part of the 1% in my books too. You're a very positive leader in our space, someone respectfully to look up to for the next gen. A great example, and again, a 1%er. There's not many people at all blazing the path that you've blazed. And I think it's very valuable for viewers to tap in with you, and learn from you. So I appreciate what you do in our space, and it's great to connect with you and have you on the podcast and have it on the record. I just wanted to drop that before you going on.
Thank you, Kareem. I appreciate that. Much love. Okay, so let me get into the three unique points that I'll come up with. Number one, you have to develop a skill that really makes you stand out on the field. So you have to be good at everything, essentially, if you want to be a pro, but there's got to be one skill that you're really, really good at. So maybe for you, it's dribbling, or it's crossing, or it's tackling, or it's heading, whatever that might be. There's got to be one skill that makes you stand out, because as you climb the levels from amateur to semi pro to pro, you'll notice that everybody's general skill increases, but the players that really stand out and make it to that next level, they have one thing that really makes them stand out and makes the impact in a game. So try and think to yourself, what is that skill that I have? And if you don't currently have one, set the intention to pick out one skill and do deliberate training so you really, really, really improve it. And that's the skill that makes you stand out on the field. So that's number one. Number two, I will say make sure you have a this is simple one really quickly. Make sure you have a CV and a highlight video. These are two tools that are very valuable that you can send out to coaches, to clubs that allow you to market yourself. So that's a really quick one. And then the third one I will say is grow your football network as much as you can and try and get quality connections, because I've been in this game for a couple of years and I've noticed that connections can change things very quickly and very significantly. It's about who you know and it's about the quality of the connection you have. So every day is a chance for you to get connected with more people, whether it's players, coaches, scouts, agents, staff members of clubs. Grow that football network, because the more you grow it, the more it starts building onto each other. It's kind of like a domino effect. And then at one point, you have such a big network, you'll notice opportunities open up for you a lot easier than they did before. So those are three things that I'll I'll share with the viewers today.
Yeah, really good points. Lots of things to talk about. We're just going to wrap up. We could talk about the digitalization of the world today, and you've been doing it yourself with content creation and all these things. How social media plays a big role in the world today. It's very different from back in the day, emailing, all these different things. But let's uh, let's just wrap it up with like a quick 1 minute or 2 minute best your favorite memory till this point, and then let's dive into the 10 fun questions I have for you.
Favorite football memory, just because of one of my favorite memories, I'll say, it was playing against Borussia Dortmund second team, just because of how crazy that transition was from getting cut from my university team to then less than a year from that moment of getting cut, I was playing against the second team of Borussia Dortmund in a preseason game, and I played the whole game, and I played really well. And for me, that was such an amazing moment, knowing that when I got cut, things were not going my way. I was down, but it's not about where you are, it's about where you want to get to and how hard you're willing to work to get to that point. And for me, that moment there showed that anything's possible. So I'll lock that in as one of my favorite memories.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of something. But let's dive to the fun questions real quick. Um, they're just speed questions, personal questions, but I like asking them. So, who's your favorite team?
Favorite team is Bayern.
Favorite player?
Ronaldo.
Favorite cleats?
Ooh, good one. I've always been Nike Mercurials, but I currently have the Adidas Speed Portals, and they're really good. So I'll put them as favorite currently.
Nice. Favorite artist musically?
Favorite artist? That's a good one. I will go with. I actually, I'll go with Drake. I'll keep it simple.
Messi or Ronaldo?
Ronaldo, because he's my favorite player.
Who's the first team you would pick in FIFA if we were playing?
I would pick. I would pick Bayern.
2 goals in a game or 1 goal and 1 assist?
2 goals in one game.
Would you rather score a free kick or a PK last minute goal to win your team the game? To win your team the game.
Free kick, 100%.
If you were a coach and you were able to sub in any player in history to win you the game, who would it be?
Ronaldo,
Ronaldo.
the
Well,
beast.
let's get one last plug in where the viewers could find you and close off.
Amazing. Yes. So it's at Soheil.var, Soheil.var. And anybody who wants to join into that football network, the link is in my bio. Whether you want to come in the paid community or the free community, both options are available. Would love to have you part of this growing community that we're creating where we all support each other.
Nice, guys. Go check it out. If you've reached this far, I know I create long content, but I hope you guys find it very valuable. Soheil, before we go, I want to thank you for taking the time for joining us on the One Soccer Nation podcast today.
My pleasure. Happy to be on and keep doing your thing, Kareem. I'm happy to see you inspiring so many people.
Appreciate it.